Where does She-Hulk work? What type of work does she do? And how exactly will her comic book saga factor into the MCU? Professionally, that is. Now, I'm a real attorney in the state of New York since 1998, true story. And I'm going to give you the lowdown on where She-Hulk attorney at law works and why it's so important to the MCU too. So, welcome back to the Mama Saga, where this Marvel-loving mama is a mother by day and also an attorney by day, but breaks down comic book sagas, movies, and shows like She-Hulk by night. Now, up front, you should know Jennifer Walters is admitted to practice in New York State. Now, in the She-Hulk comic book saga, Jennifer Walters, cousin to Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, wasn't an attorney yet when she was shot by some criminals, and when on death's door, she was given an emergency blood transfusion by Bruce, causing her to Hulk up herself afterwards, although Jennifer was able to control her powers and herself apparently a whole lot better than poor cousin Bruce. But in the MCU, it would appear, if you've seen the original She-Hulk trailer that dropped a few weeks ago, well, it would appear that Jennifer Walters was already a 30-something single attorney, already admitted to practice law, and became She-Hulk afterward. So sure, per the trailer, it would appear that Jennifer has a social life while also working as a busy litigator, and having been a litigator very actively for the first 17 and a half years of my career, I can tell you right now, it's super hard to balance personal and professional life. So both in the comics and in the MCU, I bet we're going to see, as one of the plot lines, Jennifer having to struggle to fit in all of that, plus being a superhero too. Jennifer is, from what I can tell, admitted to practice law in the state of New York, especially in the MCU version of her saga, especially given this page I found on Marvel's website itself, and from that source, her place of employment is that of Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway. They also had employed She-Hulk for a time in her comic book saga, appearing in up to 42 issues of Marvel Comics, including The Mighty World of Marvel, She-Hulk, and She-Hulk by Dan Slott. In terms of Easter eggs, the names in this fictional East Coast firm have that in spades. The first three names specifically represent each of the names of the original founders of Marvel itself. Martin Goodman was the very first publisher of Marvel. Stanley Lieber is the birth name of the man, the myth, the legend, Stan Lee. And Jacob Kurtzberg is the birth name of none other than Jack Kirby. Holden Holloway is seen with Jennifer Walters in the first trailer out for the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, where he informs her that he's created a superhuman law division and that he wants her, Jennifer, to be the face of it. And immediately afterwards in the trailer, you can see Jennifer standing across from Tim Roth's Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination. I suppose that instead of working for the New York District Attorney's Office, where she'd be prosecuting superhumans alleged to have committed crimes, she's instead going to serve as a defense attorney for Blonsky and the MCU, if it mirrors the comic book saga of She-Hulk very closely moving forward beyond Phase 4 of the MCU, well, she'll be defending a host of other big names that have been revealed in the MCU already, like Doctor Strange, Howard the Duck, Spider-Man, and Star Fox. And others that haven't yet, but likely will be, like Hercules, who may be introduced in the upcoming movie Thor: Love and Thunder. And when there's finally mutants in the MCU, yes, their clientele includes Beast. But look, when it comes to where Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, works, you should know her firm is going to be VIP to the MCU. I mean, seriously, Marvel has an entire long blog post style listing for Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway, written very close, style-wise, to how a law firm's website homepage would be written. Again, I've been a lawyer now for like 22 years. I should know. According to that page listing, senior partner Holden Holloway, just like in the MCU trailer, started the Superhuman Law Division because he became interested in the plight of superhumans after his own teenage granddaughter daughter, Sasha Martin, became the superhuman criminal Southpaw. So since she's family, I can imagine that Holloway would want to defend her interests and that his firm would be the one to do it. So I'm curious to see how this factors into the plot line of the Disney Plus series as a whole, because in the comics, well, Southpaw remains a criminal. She doesn't have a change of heart or anything, and per the blog post style entry on the Marvel website, Southpaw ultimately escapes Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway after having been released into their custody. Now, Jennifer Walters won't be the only attorney working at GLKH in the superhuman law division. It would seem from IMDb that she'll be joined by Mallory Brooke and Augustus Pug Pugliese, co-workers from her comic book saga as well. It's all up to these attorneys to not just defend the rights and interests of superhumans, but also to pioneer superhuman law across the globe. We're also apparently going to see Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, actively work as a litigator opposite Tatiana Maslany's Jennifer Walters, now that Daredevil's been made officially part of the MCU after he defended Tom Holland's Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home. In the comic book saga, some Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway staffers had a GLKH-owned Excelsior building to live in. Ha! But the law firm itself, located in Timely Plaza, New York, was uniquely crafted to meet the needs of its superhuman clientele, from containing force fields, like what we see holding in or holding back the Abomination in the trailer, I think, to rooms custom designed to mimic the exotic environments necessary to make their clients comfortable. I mean, at the firms I worked for in Lower Westchester through Manhattan, we offered coffee and cookies to our clients. You know, not force fields, but I digress. Superhuman law in the MCU kind of kicked off with the Sokovia Accords in the movie Captain America: Civil War, where the first attempt was made on governmental control over superhumans. And now you know how well that went over, right? But in the Marvel comic book saga overall, of course, there was everything from the Superhuman Registration Act that, yes, sparked the comic book Civil War, to the Underage Superhuman Welfare Act, which I referenced in a recent Miss Marvel video I did entitled, Does Kamala Khan's Best Friends Betray Her? So if you didn't see that video, be sure to check it out. But I think that the law firm of Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway is going to factor into both Disney Plus series and the MCU moving forward, because as we know from Wanda Maximoff and Peter Parker, those superhumans can do a lot of good, but a lot of damage too. And whether it's in civil court, criminal court, or both, individuals and even entire governments may end up demanding that they pay in terms of jail time, legal damages, or again, both. She-Hulk to the rescue. Anyway, since I'm a lawyer in real life, I cannot wait for She-Hulk to come out on Disney Plus on August 17, 2022. In the weeks leading up to that, I'm going to be detailing more about the legal career of Jennifer Walters, her mysterious managing partner Holden Holloway, her archenemy Titania, her extension of her legal practice into the field of universal law through the efforts of the Living Tribunal, and all sorts of lawyer-based analysis of superhuman law that appeared in the Marvel comic book saga that may translate into the MCU in Phase 4 or even Phase 5. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, subscribe to the Mama Saga for more comic book saga breakdowns, Salty Mama style. Thanks for watching. Take care.